Good morning, Nelson County, and welcome to today's edition of the Community Brew Live Student Gift Showcase. We have Thomas Nelson High School with us today as our featured panelist, and I'm going to toss it over to Chase so we can get started and not waste their time.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. Really excited about today. I think when we look back and think about gift showcase and opportunities for kids to really share their work, we know that a lot of the work that Thomas Nelson has done for several years has kind of pioneered this. And I'm excited to have them and those students engaged. And Alex Martin is one of our backpack leaders, and he's a great leader in our district. And I know that I got to look through their slides a little bit yesterday, and looks like we're going to have a good morning. So just as a reminder, we want you guys engaged in the chat. So if you, they kind of have some natural stopping points of where they're talking. So if you guys want to ask questions, give feedback, would love to hear what the chat community has to say. Same thing with Facebook. So I think Brooke will be monitoring both of those. So excited to get going this morning. So without further ado, I'll turn it over.
I just want to before we go any further, I just want to call out our Facebook friends because we have had lots of people watching over there on Facebook, but nobody's talking to us on Facebook. So I'm not sure what's going on. So if you're watching on Facebook, I'm talking to y'all. Okay, that's it. That's all I got to say.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys. So like Chase was saying, much of today's conversation is going to be around gifts. It's something that we've been thinking about for a little while, and we have several gifted and very passionate students on board with us here. And we have, to kind of facilitate the conversation, we got a few slides that we're going to work through. So I'm going to try to present my screen. Should be rolling now. You guys see that? Yep, perfect. Okay. So, yeah, much of today's conversation is really centered around excavating gifts, which, that's a conversation that is a vision for the district. And we try to really take this conversation a little bit deeper this year. And a central question that we looked to explore was, or something that we're trying to ask all of our students is, what gift will you share with the world? And really trying to get them to reflect upon who they are and what they enjoy and what their strengths are and how they're going to bring that to life. So a few questions, as we're navigating through this conversation, I guess you could chime in the chat or really just reflect on yourself. What are gifts and what are my gifts and how am I sharing them? So the community course or the backpack class that we called it, I kind of worked collaboratively with these 7 students, really thinking about this conversation. Obviously, these guys also participated in the externship process, and they were working on the gifts project as well. But some of these questions that continue to resonate throughout the district, these are things that we try to think about daily, particularly this one here at the bottom. And thinking about time that we have available with students, what are we asking them to do, and does that make the most sense? So to kind of talk about how the trajectory of this gift conversation has looked over the past couple of years, I'm going to push it over to Connor.
Yeah, so over the years, our school has previously had these gift experiences throughout these student gift showcase that they had quarterly, and it was really good for students because they got to show them their passion and kind of what they were into. However, there were some issues with this because it didn't really embed all of the students. It was only a select few, per every class. So there are only so many that could present their gifts, and it was only about a quarter, so it wasn't throughout the year. There was a lot of, it was great for the students, but not everyone was involved. So hopefully, by including this excavating gifts course, it provides every student an opportunity to share their gift throughout the quarter. And we made this booklet or this template, so it has students the ability to be able to share their gifts through a organized manner, and so that way it's more directed to their future story or to whatever their passion is. And Ryan can tell you more about that.
So, really, in thinking about trying to get students to share their gifts passionately and be able to articulate that and show their gifts to the community around them, um, we thought, well, we might as well kill two birds with one stone because we were tasked with creating the non traditional instruction or NTI curriculum for the year. And so we figured, why don't we take something that students, in all honesty, dread to do and turn it around in a way that students are going to be able to do what they want to do and get some sort of positive benefits out of it. So, in that process, we developed a five-phase system with multiple steps in between that really was about getting the student to challenge themselves to think about what their gifts are, not necessarily to, as soon as the project starts, go, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to save the world. I am a gifted student. No, it was, what are you passionate about? What do you enjoy doing? And so we tried to not necessarily force students to tell us their life story, but encourage them to really get thinking about their own individual gifts. Now, hindsight being 2020, there were several flaws in our process because when you present something like this to a group of students, there are always going to be those who, go get it. That's just how some students are, and there are going to be others who, well, we all know that. So it's been a journey of trying to support every individual student because they're just, I mean, there's different types of students out there, and it's not our job to let them, I guess, disappoint themselves and others around them, but we're here to support them. So I, of course, got in front of the camera to try and develop some different videos, one of which I explained our five-phase system, the other of which I can't even remember what I've done in half of the videos. They were all a little bit ridiculous, and I can't get them to play anymore for some reason. So
You're
it's a
trying to
long
get us,
story. Yeah.
trying to get us to not play this video, right? Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
no,
you're
see, I
right.
tried to play it yesterday because, take a trip down memory lane, but I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, really, Ryan's trying to get at some of the questions we were trying to ask students are definitely ambiguous and definitely ones that are, are meant to lay with them over a period of time. So, um, perhaps that was where some students were experiencing some difficulties with kind of thinking about these because they're supposed to endure, and that's really part of the idea. So, some of the things that really helped make this process successful, some key anchors we had. Obviously, we had the course booklet. And again, each student was really designed to work through those questions and reflect upon those. Really, just a big brainstorming document, but it had some questions along the way to help facilitate the process. We also had some course resources that had several models. Also, kind of thinking about, when this question or issue came up, how do I navigate that? And then this one was super powerful for me because we facilitated this process through our Care and Connect. So, like as a Care and Connect leader, I had 20 boys that I'm working with them on trying to excavate their gifts and really see what they're passionate about. So the small group, I'd say every couple of weeks we interacted with this conversation, and sometimes we had whole group share out where we're all kind of thinking about and supporting each other with what our gifts look like. And then there were small group conversations where they were in charge of really helping each other through this piece. And then on April 1st, we had intentions of everyone was expected to share their gift with their Care and Connect through a verbal presentation and conversation. So that's kind of how we set the project up. What we have now are some really some Purple Cow leaders that are going to share out, but we'll kind of take a moment to pause here to chime in with the chat if Brooke or Chase, you guys see anything?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things, Ryan, that you said that I think think you were alluding to that's really powerful is there's this idea of like in order to really know something you have to just do things, right? But um, understanding like the gap that sometimes exists between we have this idea, this concept, this thing, and then we actually start doing this thing and we learn a lot through that process. So if you think about kind of the structure that you guys laid out, um, what are and anybody feel free to jump in. It doesn't just have to be Ryan. But what are maybe some things that you learned over the course of this year that as you think about next year and doing this process again, that you guys might want to change or tweak?
So developing this, it was, at its core, like you said, a sort of a challenge to students because there's a lot of science behind growth being caused by stressful situations. And when I say stressful, it's those sort of situations where you have to do something new. You haven't done this before, and it's sort of an on your feet sort of thinking process. You can read up on stuff like that, like the notion of saving your father from the belly of a whale. You have this impossible or new task, and whenever you go through these stressful processes of trying to learn and adapt and do things, it's actually like coded stuff in your DNA that sort of under that stress sort of unlocks and you learn new things. Really, really wild stuff. But we realize that that's like a really high and lofty notion, asking students to, just really think about their gifts. And I guess sometimes everybody in education can sort of fall into the trap of getting caught up in sort of lofty notions of higher learning and stuff like that, when in reality most students are very down to earth people, and that's one of their gifts as well. So you have to think of, I guess, down to earth ways to get them to think about themselves, right? You have to find ways to get someone who's interested in differential calculus and somebody who's interested in building, things like carpentry, right? Because those are both wonderful gifts. Those are both very valuable things, but they're very different in how you approach nurturing those gifts. So our sort of broad stroke approach that we did had a flaw in that it wasn't nurturing enough to every gift. It was sort of an equal it was equal but very minimal, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, yeah, I think that's the growth process, right? Like you do something, you figure out like I think a lot of times in education, us as teachers, we're sometimes guilty of it too, right? Like we have 30 kids in a class and we know that, you know, we can do this thing and get to 20 of them. So that's sometimes what we do when we realize like there's still some people, like even if you get to 20 of them, there's still 10 of them that we didn't really fully engage in the way that we wanted to. So I think that's also the challenge with teaching and learning, and I think that's being aware of that is obviously the first step to think through what that looks like. So, Brooke, anything else to jump in with from chats or Facebook or anything like that?
Well, we've got lots of people out here watching, cheering you guys on this morning. So, pretty exciting stuff. So, I don't want to take up any more time. We got more stuff to hear.
All
That's
right,
right.
perfect. So I'm going to bounce it over to Bailey. And what we have is we have some student leaders that have really done some Purple Cow work with their excavating gifts, and they're going to take an opportunity to showcase that.
Hi, my name's Bailey, and so we decided to pick out some students who really showed everyone like what they were really passionate about, and they put forth the effort in this project because, like we were saying before, not everyone was really involved in it due to certain circumstances. But the students we have today, besides myself, are Amelia Boone, Riley Castleman, and Marty Kirksinger. Um, these students really show that like through their hard work how much they really are passionate about what they chose to do, so we wanted to recognize them for all the time they spent on this project. To move on, so this is what I decided to do my excavating this project on, was the Korean language and culture. I know some of you probably are like, well, how did this kind of come along? Well, I've been learning Korean for a while now, and I'm just really fascinated with everything about it. The people, the language, culture, scenery. It really connects with my future story plans. Because I plan to go to college in Seoul, which is the biggest city in South Korea. So I thought that what's better to connect something that's really important in my life than with this. Um, so I decided with my project to teach elementary school students a few phrases in Korean, but that didn't really work out because of the virus. So we're all obviously having online school right now. Um, but I decided to make a Flipgrid video, and I kind of taught students at Thomas Nelson what I was going to teach elementary school students. So I think that turned out really well. And I just taught them a few phrases, and I taught them about Korean's actually called Hangugo, and then the Korean alphabet is called Hangul, and hello is 안녕하세요. Um, but I just taught them a bunch of few little phrases, and I think that really helps people see new cultures. And I just wanted to really get people to think about that because we live in a small town, and sometimes we forget that there's a whole world around us to explore. So I just wanted people to keep that in mind with my project.
Awesome. Yeah, really. Bailey spent quite a bit of time juggling a couple of different ideas. She kind of maybe went this direction, maybe go that direction. So I think really just the process of kind of thinking through, what do I want to explore further? That was a healthy process for her, although she changed her mind a couple of times. So awesome work there. We're gonna move to who we got? We got Riley and Marty, I believe.
So our project was about like helping others, helping kids, helping mothers. And the way we discovered this project was we called the health department because we knew we wanted to help children. We was passionate about helping children and mothers in any way we could. And they referred us to the New Life Center. So I decided to call the New Life Center and I asked them, I was like, do you mind if you could partner up with me? And they said, we would love to because we love to collect donations from you all. And it's a very nice thing that y'all want to help us with helping mothers and children. So I asked them, I was like, what do you need? And they told us that they needed woman hygiene products. And so we gather up woman hygiene products by making a Facebook post, by over at the HSC, we went and told all the teachers that we was collecting woman hygiene products for this project. Then we also contacted stores to collect donations. But over the time, we had people donating money, we had people donating woman hygiene products. But this New Life Center is all about renewing, rejoice, and coming together to help mothers and children, and that's what our passion is about. So now I'm gonna let Riley talk about the point system and how they help mothers in jail and how they help guardians that's taking care of the kids.
Okay, so the New Life Center was all about helping out moms, and they even help out dads that need the help. So we decided to collect donations, as Marty said, but they also do donations around the Christmas time, where where parents can gain these points by watching videos. They get 2 points per video. It's like parenting videos, and then they decide what they want to spend it on. They can spend it on diapers, clothes, toys, whatever they need in that point system, pretty much. So during Christmas, we decided to get more donations for them for the point system and stuff like that. But we didn't know they also help out with parents in jail. They help out dads and moms. So we decided that around Christmas time we were going to come back and actually donate some toys to them so they can have toys during Christmas time for the parents in jail and stuff like that because they get to give the kids that while they're in jail.
Awesome. I'm curious, thinking about what brought you guys to selecting this as your all's project.
Well, we decided that we wanted to
So both
we both want to be a nurse when we get older and stuff like that. So we thought about the kids. I want to work with kids, and she wants to work with. What do you want to work with? Kids. Babies.
baby.
Gotcha.
I wanted
And
to be a needle nurse.
yeah, and then we were gonna work with the hospital, but we didn't end up getting like the work with them. So we just try to find smaller businesses in the community, and the new life center just came up.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys really did some great work. Part of the idea with the project was students were hopefully looking to explore something that maybe aligned to their future story conversation and kind of got some exposure to that world. And then also each student was in charge of working with a community partner, even if it was just from a, getting their perspective role. But obviously Riley and Marty, they were able to partner and do some deep work there. So awesome work, you guys. We're going to move over to Amelia. I can see you, Amelia.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just waiting for the slide.
Okay.
Okay, so like Mr. Martin said, my name is Amelia Boone, and just to kind of give you like a little insight about myself, I'm involved in Dance Blue, so like raising money for pediatric cancer. In Beta, I'm president of National Honor Society. I'm captain of the swim team, and I'm also active in track. And so a lot of that, like that I'm involved in, revolves around community service. And so I think that kind of, and like helping others, and I think that kind of pushed into my project. So my project is basically entitled I Heart NC, but in like a different manner. So I put kind of a spin on it. And I think that kind of came from conversations that I had within like my work-based learning area. So my community partner is Cindy Beavers, and she is the nurse at Cox's Creek. And we were having conversations about how kids are having more frequent headaches and they're kind of just complaining more about their eyes and their heads. And she had mentioned that a lady at VisionWorks had said that it was from constant Chromebook use. And I think a lot of us grew up maybe computer class once a week, and now our kindergartners have Chromebooks and they take them home. They're on them all day long. They're learning that way, and that's their normal. And I don't think what most of us realize is that it has a greater effect on our eyes and our brains. It can like cause eye strain. The light in there, the blue light from the Chromebook has a lot of effects on our health after like extensive use. So like these kindergartners could potentially be using these Chromebooks until they're seniors in high school and even beyond. And I know I've been using Chromebooks since my freshman year, and I'll continue doing so. So even that long-term exposure can lead to a lot of problems. So really what I wanted to do is how can we prevent this, slow this down, and we kind of discovered there's a feature on Chromebooks that allows you to put on a nightlight, and it's a nightlight feature, and it essentially dims your screen to make those blue lights like in the Chromebook less harmful and not so much as a strain on your eyes and on like your brain and such. So that's kind of what my project revolves around. So implementing that district wide on student Chromebooks to kind of prevent those sort of things from happening. Like Mr. Martin said about the whole project, it's definitely ambiguous. I'm the kind of person that needs like a clear direction on stuff. So this project was kind of like a way to push me out of my comfort zone. I changed my topic, I bet 5 times before I settled on this one. So it was a really good opportunity, I think, for all of us to kind of dig deep within ourselves and figure out like what we were truly passionate about and what we wanted to do with and how we wanted to help our community best with through our passions.
Awesome. Yeah, you can see we got a lot of gifted and passionate students here. Brooke, we're curious on our chat.
Yeah, so let's head over to YouTube. Let's see. Miss Newton gave you a shout out, Bailey. She said Bailey representing from our Care and Connect. So yay, little Miss Newton shout out over there. Jessica Sparrow, one of our library media specialists, she said that she loves Bailey that you were able to continue your project through Flipgrid after the coronavirus. Sonia Zelke said the same thing about your project, Bailey, and said way to break outside the 4 walls. Let's see. Kathy Walker from Bloomfield Elementary. She said we had a couple of teachers from China visit us at one time to teach the children Chinese. It is exciting to know we have our own NC students to teach our children a foreign language. So let's see here. Going down to our next project, we kind of had to backtrack a little bit in the comments here a little bit. So bear with me. So Lisa Regazio at Bloomfield Middle, she said, what a great experience to address the needs of others. Gift of giving to others, way to go. Tracy Davison said that she loves that you guys helped the New Life Center. And she would love to see her early lifespan development classes pair up with them. I interpreted an acronym there in the chat. Proud of myself. Miss Davison, okay. All right. So let's see. Mr. Bradley chimed in too to you guys all like as a whole and said powerful to see the increased awareness of the diversity within our local community. Increased community awareness begets increased self-awareness, a mature group of teenagers. So that's high praise from Mr. Bradley to you guys. So Kelsey Berryman, Amelia, she said she loves the care that's going into your project. Cox's Creek loves you. Lots of comments, Amelia, on that quote that you said, a way to push me out of my comfort zone. So everybody's loving that one. You guys are just doing an amazing job, and it's inspiring to sit here and watch you guys and listen, and I'm just speaking from my own perspective because like I was a hot mess when I was y'all's age. So I can imagine. I'm just like, gosh, they're like more mature than I am now. So kudos.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's powerful, to listen to you guys talk about the journey and be able to think through like we're teaching Korean, we're helping um, infants and new moms, new dads. We're thinking about like how we better utilize technology and the health effects on that. Like that's three really diverse things, and that's just with you guys. And I know the work that you went into really thinking about this and planning this, um, was a lot of work. But I think what we're seeing is it allows for these diverse gifts and passions, which is really the point, right? If we all had the same gift and passion, it'd be a really boring world. So it's really cool to see that. Alex, I don't know if we have somebody else to present or if I have time for a question.
No, we had 3 presenters, so we've made it through those.
Got it. So I guess a question that I would have for you guys as we kind of end today that I'd be curious, and anybody can jump in, is like what happens now? So you're kind of done with the course, right? Whatever the course requirements were. So if you think about your project or your work, like what happens from now on out? How do you see it evolving or continuing? What do you hope to see maybe?
So with mine and Riley's project, we decided that during the summer, since we're out of school, we're gonna go and work with the New Life Center to help them collect donations, help them set up the room for point systems. So like even after school, we're still gonna work with them, and we're gonna donate toys for Christmas, and like on holidays, we're still gonna be a part of them. It's very passionate to me to help others and her too. So I just think that we get to continue this even outside of our project. Like that's how we're gonna continue.
I think that was a big piece for all of us, was not just that this was just a project and that when the project ended, our ideas ended. Like, I think all of us, our goals are for this project to extend much farther than the deadline for this course, and just like kind of like what Marty was saying, leave a lasting impact on what we're creating and what we're trying to achieve, and just kind of have that extend bigger than ourselves, and just kind of see it not as a course, but as like an opportunity to extend farther.
Yeah, and for me, I was thinking, of course, I'm still planning on continuing studying Korean until I become fluent, but I think I'm going to start a YouTube channel teaching it because I actually found out that it's really popular. And a lot of people are becoming more interested in it because of K-pop, which is Korean music, and they want to be able to like sing what their favorite idols are, So I think that would be a good way for me to really have a fun spin on it, and teach people, in a fun way to learn.
I mean, Bailey, you really can capitalize on Trolls World Tour right now too, because I'm like, what's K-pop? I don't even know what this is, but Trolls they taught me, so I'm like, well, that's cool. So now I'm feeling all super relevant right now because I know what you're talking about. So not to brag, okay.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing this morning. I appreciate you guys coming on, and it's really cool to see how this thing that you were kind of thinking about. I got to work with Mr. Martin to just see the thought process evolve as you guys started thinking about this in September or October, whenever that was, till now. It's just really powerful to see how that stuff comes to life. So thank you guys for your work. It's much appreciated. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning again. And I think tomorrow is OKH. So I'm excited to see their work and their students in the morning. Brooke, anything else before we head out?
Don't forget, we have story time at 2 today, featuring our
Mic's off.
Oh,
You're muted, Mike, or you're muted,
okay.
Brooke.
So the fun part is everybody else can hear me, but you guys can't. So whatever. It's Grand Central Station over here. Don't forget about our story time at 2 today, featuring our generals. We have a student that'll be reading to us today at 2 o'clock. So tune in here on YouTube, Facebook, for our story time at 2. So you all have an amazing day. Thank you, generals. You all are awesome. So you all make it an impossible day.